See if I remember how to do this.
Garland in the corner. He's got it. Feed stand. Pow with the right hand. Mitchell shakes up to the basket and thunders it home. Oh! Mobley throws it down. And Allen blocked the shot at the rim.
Welcome to the Chase Down Podcast, part of the Cavs media family. I'm your host, Justin Rowan. The Chase Down is presented by Fubo, the official streaming partner of the Cavs. Watch over 350 channels of live sports and TV, including FanDuel Sports Network without cable. There's no cost and no commitment. Try for free at FuboTV.com/Cavs. Your Cleveland Cavaliers are streaking. They have won 11 of their last 15 games, 4 games in a row, and have swept their home and home against the Orlando Magic. Joining me today to discuss it is my co-host, Carter Rodriguez. Carter, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. It felt it really is starting to feel like the team that I really loved watching last year. They're different, but they are exhibiting the same habits that made last year so much fun for me. I just think their effort level has been so consistent. Like, we were in the first quarter of the game that was in Orlando, and I said to our Discord server, like, hey guys, just so you know, this is the kind of game we're probably gonna lose. Like, like Magic are well rested. Cavs are on a road back to back. Like, it's like the worst possible combo. 3-4 for the Cavs. And they go out and just put together a really, really professional outing. I thought start to finish to win that game. And in this one, I just thought it was really, really a mature game for this group. We will start the conversation, I'm sure, with Donovan Mitchell, but even, this team, and Donnie mentioned it in his post-game conversation with my former coworker, Jordan Cornette, that, this is kind of like the Philly baseball series where you beat them once, and they come out and start really pressuring you the second one. Cavs turned the ball over a bunch early, looked sloppy, but then just settled into the game, gradually took control, and really never let it go, and held Orlando to under 100 points.
Yeah, I think that's what jumps out to me, is that the composure seems dramatically better with this team, right? Like, they're out here taking care of business. And I thought that there were a lot of opportunities in both of these Orlando games where this team earlier in the season would have lost their composure, right? Like, when you get into foul trouble in that first game in Orlando, there's a free throw discrepancy. You know that this is a very physical Magic team. That's a spot where the Cavs, maybe, if they wouldn't lose their composure, you'd at least see more fractures, right? You would see them rush a little bit offensively. You would see them get back to some of those bad habits. And it's not like they played perfect games in either of these ones. The turnovers are still something that I've got my eye on. I would have liked to see them hit a few more free throws. I think they made things a little unnecessarily difficult in that regard. But I thought the composure in both of these games showed a more mature version of this team, right? And of course, with anything, it's how you sustain it. The Orlando Magic, while they're not a bad team, they're also not the type of team that the Cavs are measuring themselves up against if they are playing at their best possible level. But I do think that this is a team that's challenged them in the past, a team that does apply a lot of physicality. And when you see them go down 11 or early in this game, it's a chippier game than even the first matchup between these teams. Orlando doesn't want to get swept. I just thought responding the way that they did was really, really meaningful. And it took guys being engaged and giving that effort across the board. But a lot of it obviously started with Donovan Mitchell, who was just absolutely phenomenal in this one.
He was bananas in this game, and I think it really goes to show that playmaking isn't just passing the ball to guys for assists. He finishes this game with a 1-to-1 assist to turnover ratio, but I just really thought he got the guys moving in this game. And a lot of that is by just being ferocious as a downhill attacking player. I asked Tony on our last podcast, do we maybe need to get Donovan a night off? Just legs looked a little heavy at times over the last couple weeks. Oh, they looked light tonight, brother. Just turn the corner on Anthony Black, on Jalen Suggs, on Tyus Jones, anyone who, and Desmond Bain, anyone who had the misfortune of having to guard Donovan. He was just so ferocious with his attacks. And I just think it unstuck a lot of things for this Cavs offense and made everyone's jobs easier dealing with the ball pressure that Orlando was throwing at them.
Yeah, I agree with that. And the other thing that I'm really enjoying about this recent play from Donovan and the team in general is I'm liking how he's getting his touches more, right? Like you're seeing more inverted plays with Donovan where he's setting a screen for Evan, or he's got a 2-man game going with Jalen Tyson, where he's setting the screen or Jalen setting the screen with them. There's just a little bit more variety to the Cavs offensive approach, and I think that that's helping get things unstuck, particularly when you aren't able to rely on the playmaking of Darius Garland. Like I think that is really, really significant, and that's something that was really missing earlier this season.
Yeah,
You look at Jalen Tyson as an example. Every single game that Darius hasn't played here, he's had 4 assists. Like every single one of these games, he's had 4 assists. He's had at least 5 rebounds. The scoring is there too, right? Like he is consistently being involved. And I think a lot of that does come from the play of Donovan Mitchell, right? Like even if it's not Donovan passing to him directly, it's getting his teammates involved in a variety of different ways, the coaching staff implementing him in those kind of inverted ways and finding creative ways to get him the ball or to get other guys the ball off of him. I just feel like the offensive ecosystem is the healthiest it's looked in a while, and probably one of the healthiest stretches that we've actually seen the offense have with Darius not being in the lineup.
Yeah, well, it's interesting. Because I don't know if I all the way agree with that. You look at the starting lineup that they've been running out. It hasn't been great offensively in these games. It's killing teams defensively. But what I will agree with is that they're working harder and smarter to generate good looks with very unoptimized personnel offensively. Like if you're gonna play Donovan, Jalen, Dean, Evan, and Jarrett together, you're with Dean in the form as a shooter that he's in, with DeAndre Hunter in the form of a shooter he's in, with Lonzo and Craig both slumping. You're basically committing to only playing 2 guys who can shoot the ball consistently well right now, which is Jalen and Donovan. And there's not really a lot of options with Darius, Sam, and Max out. Like those are the guys who aren't as streaky, who are a little bit more reliable in terms of shooters and just on-ball playmaking as well. And what you're seeing is everyone just kind of having to find inroads to step up. You're seeing Tyrese Proctor come in and give you 14 really good minutes in this game. What an exciting couple games he's had on the floor, really showing some of the potential that has us salivating. You're asking Naquan Tomlin to hit a few corner threes. You're asking Craig to get into the teeth of the defense, even though he's kind of been struggling with his own scoring as of late. And really, you're also asking Jalen to figure out a lot more as an on-ball creator. And again, while the results can be up and down, they've had a few ugly offensive games here and there. I mean, that Charlotte game was pretty ugly offensively, but what I'm seeing is a pretty good process that doesn't feel like they're taking shortcuts, I guess is a good way to frame it. Like I felt like earlier in the season when they would be down a man or two, it was just like, well, first semi-open three we got to take because we're not going to find something better.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just not what we're seeing right now. I mean, nothing better than that Jalen Donovan two-man game to like show like, hey, we can press an advantage. We just have to be clever about how we do it.
Yeah, I think what I was trying to get at is almost a process over results. Like right now, when you're looking at the Cavs over these 6 games without Darius, you're right. The offense hasn't been great, right? Like it's just outside the top 10 if you're looking at that stretch. And I think one of the biggest culprits of that is the turnovers, right? Like Darius does a better job than most taking care of the basketball. You look at the last 6 games, the Cavs are actually 28th in turnover percentage. Like it's bad. They're turning over the ball a ton. I just
nice
feel
progress in this game, by the way. Landed with only 14 after a bunch early.
Yes, absolutely. I just feel like, earlier in the season when we said, yeah, the Cavs are going to experiment with stuff, but it doesn't feel like their struggles are the result of experimenting with things. It just felt like they were struggling. This right now feels like productive struggle. This feels like we're trying to find creative ways to get multiple guys involved, to have 2 and 3 man games with guys that don't typically do this. And we're doing it without the bulk of our best shooting on the floor, right? Like you do not have Darius out there. You do not have Sam out there. You do not have Max out there. I understand, this sounds like a Dr. Seuss story, but you're missing Darius, you're missing Sam, you're missing Max, and you're missing DeAndre.
I do not have Max, Sam. I am.
No, and you're missing DeAndre, who is not shooting well this year, but still relative to the other guys on the team has more gravity than, let's say, a Naquan Tomlin. So the fact that rather than the ball just moving around on the perimeter and it never really getting the defense in rotation, never really challenging them in any meaningful way, I feel like given the circumstances, this is the best that I've seen the Cavs look when it's working with these types of limitations in terms of offensive personnel.
Yeah,
now, obviously there are stretches that look awful. Like I did not get to watch the Charlotte game live, but I saw the reactions live. I was checking in, on the game threads and all that kind of stuff. I saw what people were tweeting.
Just sipping a Mai Tai, watching everyone throwing a fit.
Mescalitas, baby. It was a beautiful week. I was watching that game back the next morning, and the first half I was sitting there thinking, everyone's being a bunch of babies, man. Like, what is this? Like, this isn't that bad. And then I watched the second half. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. I get what the offensive struggles were. This is really, really tough. I understand why Carter labeled the video "winning ugly." Like, I get it. I get that the floor is maybe a little lower than it's been at times when it comes to the offensive output, but I just feel like I feel the creativity more. I feel like what the coaching staff is getting these guys to do is something that could bear fruit in the future. Like I think you can lean on this kind of stuff with better offensive personnel around, and these reps are actually going to matter, and these reps are actually going to mean something in the postseason versus whatever was happening at the start of the year, which was just struggling without the productivity.
Yeah, I mean, you're just seeing the effort to get downhill, and the intention of getting guys downhill. When especially right now when teams are really comfortably putting 2 on the ball on Donovan, we're seeing guys slip and catch the ball in empty space and attack. And it's not just Jalen, who has been by a mile the best at it. Another really great game from him tonight. I can't believe he only had 14 points because it felt like he was taking over stretches of this game.
It was a very quiet start. A very quiet start from a scoring standpoint, and then he was very loud in the second half.
But like even guys like Quan are catching the ball and they're just attacking, or even on the break. Like I think Quan got a rebound that was like free throw line extended, and he just pushed.
Yep.
And like, yeah, you're gonna have some slop when Naquan Tomlin is leading a fast break every now and again, or making a quick decision in the short roll. But you're also getting 2 feet in the paint offensively consistently. You're forcing help because they must stop him after all his ferocious dunks this year. And like I want to say he had a dump off to Jarrett just on the baseline, and Jarrett either got an and one or a dunk. I don't remember which one it was, but like it's just pressure. And sometimes like pressure for pressure's sake is valuable, especially for this team. And like I also want to shout out Evan, who had a weirdly quiet 20-point night on 16 shots. Didn't feel loud, but something I really want to shout him out is the drives have just been really, really strong from him recently. And it's not because of the bag work. It's not because of the jumper and the threat of the jumper. It's because he's big, tall, and long, and very good on his feet. And so when he's running these inverted pick and rolls right now, the teams want to hedge and recover on, because you don't want to switch. And generally they don't trust the handle and the playmaking enough. Or they're going to say, beat us with that. Instead of doing what he did earlier in the year, which is kind of do that freeze, dribble, hesitate, and let the hedge happen, or try to like capture them into a post up. He's just going straight to the rim. And Evan Mobley, with a step towards the rim, can use his preternaturally gifted finishing ability, his length, his explosion, and he can get clean looks. So like, I just think we're seeing up and down the roster, even without the personnel to get downhill consistently. They're doing it because they're choosing to do it. And I think that's something like when I was angsting about this team earlier in the year, when I really didn't like the offensive process, I think I was a little worried, like, oh, maybe they just can't play that way anymore. Maybe their personnel has changed just enough that it's just too hard unless they're 100% healthy. And I think what this stretch is showing me, when they're as unhealthy and as like wiped out from a position group perspective as they've been all year, that they can still figure out ways to do it. And that gives against a still very good Orlando Magic defense. That's a really encouraging thing to see.
I think it's really important. And both Evan and Don being so good to start this game felt significant to me as well, because this is a matchup that Evan struggled in the past. Like it's been tough for him to be very productive against Orlando at times, because they are very large. They throw a lot of physicality at you. The guards are able to be physical. They have length. Obviously no Franz Wagner, so that changes things a little bit here. But I thought the assertiveness in this game, and really with his recent play in general, has been a lot better, as you noted. The halftime interview too, he said one of the things he's focusing on is just going over guys, right? Like, don't hesitate, just finish over them. And I really love seeing that, right? Because I feel like Evan's struggles, when they occur, usually are the result of overthinking, right? It's that one pivot or that one pump fake too many, rather than being decisive. I love seeing him going up and finishing over guys. The one thing I'd love to see is for him to take a page out of Jarrett Allen and like actually go out and finish over guys. Like go try to jump over some dudes. Go like do the Statue of Liberty dunk. Because at the very least, when you're trying to go up and over guys, you're going to draw more fouls in those situations, right? Like you're able to initiate and sell that contact at a higher level. And for Evan being as long as he is and a taller player than Jarrett Allen, I feel like he should be able to have some of those plays and some of those easy kind of springy getting up buckets. Not to sell Jarrett short, but I think that's something that I'd like to see more from him. But I really, really did like the assertiveness. I thought he picked his spots really well in this game. Still a few times where it feels like there's a little bit of a hitch in the jumper or a little bit of hesitation with that jump shot.
I would say you're even seeing the hitch on the free throw right now. I think he's really got a
there's a pause at the top from what I can see.
Yeah, whether it's over All-Star break or whatever, you hope to see him kind of refine those mechanics just a little bit, because I do feel like been just a little bit of slippage there. Don't know why, but like, and maybe that is a factor in his willingness to go up and over guys. He's having a career worst year from the free throw line, 64%, went 1 of 4 tonight. But the reality is you just can't play that way. And I mean, how many times with these elite foul drawers do we see that? I mean, even 64 is like 1.2 points per possession. That's really good. Like, that's a really, really respectable number, and like, you're going to be generally happy with that over the life of a season if you're getting to the line a lot, putting guys in foul trouble, getting your team in the bonus. So when Donovan or Darius get hip checked 40 feet from the basket, they get to walk to the free throw line. So it's a very selfless thing to do, is to go up for those and attack the defense. But I think it's something to your point, he can continue doing better at.
Yeah, and I'm with you. Like, I thought his jumper looked great to start the season. I thought it looked really, really fluid. So hopefully, as you said, the All-Star break is coming up. It gives you that little opportunity to get some practice in, get some tweaks, get that thing back in sync. And we know that teams move fastest when everybody's in sync, Carter. Zoom Workplace keeps meetings, chats, documents, and more together, so your work flows like a perfect play. Keep work moving and zoom ahead with Zoom Workplace.
Justin, can we talk about Kobe Altman?
Okay. Yeah.
I
had a segue in mind, but go ahead. Just stomp all over it. It's fine.
I didn't put it in the rundown, and I wanted to talk about it. We've mentioned it before, but like, I just was watching this team down the stretch of this game, early fourth quarter. Donovan's getting a blow, and we're running Naquan Tomlin, Tyrese Proctor, Jalen Tyson, like, even Dean Wade, who gave them very good minutes tonight, especially on defense.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just like, this is how you survive the second apron. This is how you, this is the way you restock the shelves, and this is why you make the Donovan Mitchell trade. In the macro, because like, what good orgs do is they find the road to role players no matter what. They find, you don't turn down a shot at a Donovan Mitchell because of the concern of an opportunity cost of finding role players in the middle of the first round. Because what you say is, hey, if we're good enough at what we do, we'll find role players that are undrafted. We'll find role players at 49. We'll find role players at, what was Jalen, 20? And I just think that it is a real credit to this organization that, and it's not like everything has worked great. Hunter's having a really rough year right now. The Lonzo trade hasn't been great, but like, what good orgs do is give themselves insulation for when a swing doesn't work exactly how you expect, is you have different options and different ways to win. And what bad orgs do is they say, we've got one structure. They're like Doctor Strange holding up that one finger, where it's like, oh, if these guys don't hit, it's just over. If Dean doesn't spend the next 10 years as a Cleveland Cavalier, well, maybe Naquan might. And if Naquan doesn't, maybe Hunter does. It's like all these different names that you can rely on, and most of them are coming from kind of undistinct and like places where you weren't looking for that. Like, when I saw they drafted Tyrese Proctor, I didn't like pump my fist. I didn't know him,
Yeah.
But that's what this org can reliably do right now, is find these diamonds in the rough that can help you get through, a late January game where all your guards and wings are banged up.
I think it's one of the kind of defining traits of the Kobe Altman tenure, because there's been some splashy moves, right? Donovan's certainly at the top of the mind, and hitting at the top of the draft, whether it's Darius, whether it's Evan, like, that's important, but that's something that a lot of teams can do. I think not overlooking the margins is one of the biggest things that this front office, as a collective, right? Like, it's not just Kobe. We should shout out the entire front office, but it's one of the things that this front office has done a really good job of, because it's not just the players that they've found, it's also the moves, right? Like, if you think back to basically the first transaction of Kobe's tenure, it was the Kyrie trade, right? And that trade did not work. But when you looked at all the little tentacles from there, right? Like, all right, we're going to get a first round pick for George Hill here, and we're going to turn that into Jared Allen. We're going to get involved in anytime there's a trade happening around the league, we are going to leverage ourselves in as a third and fourth team and extract some value here. We're going to continue trading this paperclip until it turns into a house. And they've done a really, really good job of navigating that, finding the value in the margins. And when they find, when they have the opportunity to actually bring a player in, that's when the player development has been so important, right? Like it's developing a jump shot for players that have very streaky or absent jump shots, whether that's Jetty Osman, whether that's, Colin Sexton, who came in not being a 3-point shooter and turned into one, right? Isaac Okoro couldn't get the volume up to where it needed to be, but he was consistently a 37% 3-point shooter plus, right? At least league average on his low volume. Developing the 3-point shot for Evan Mobley. Yes, it's still a work in progress, but I think we've seen it come a long way, right? Skill development, Jalen Tyson. We talk about what Evan's doing over the All-Star break. Jalen Tyson's going to be on the All-Star weekend because he's a rising star, right? Like it's
I can't believe this guy, man. He's so good.
And that's a testament to just how far along he's come, right? Like that's a player development success story. Craig Porter Jr., another player development success story. Naquan Tomlin, player development. It's not just identifying these guys that could be interesting. It's making the most of the time that you have with them and also getting the buy-in from the players, right? Like the fact that Jalen and Craig last year, when they weren't playing a lot of games for the Cavs, were willing to go and play for the Charge, right? They didn't feel like it was below their resume because, hey, we've seen this actually be a meaningful thing for the team. We know we practice against these guys sometimes. We have the integration between the Charge and the Cavs. This is giving us a level of confidence that this is a viable path for us to get more meaningful minutes. And then, seeing the results from there. It's not to say that it's always going to work out when they bring in guys, right? Like we've seen that, right? Like Amani Bates did not work out.
Yeah, they cycle, but they're cycling.
They are cycling, right? Like Luke Travers, I thought that was a worthwhile swing. I loved what we saw from him. The development didn't seem to keep up, and it looks like that's not going to be a success story. But I'm liking the types of swings that they're taking. Even someone like Killian Hayes, who we can't have on a two-way contract given the NBA experience, seems to be playing really, really well for the Charge. I don't know if he's ever going to sign a deal with the Cavs, but it's at least an option that when you go into a trade deadline and you're maybe looking at, what types of moves you can make. One of the things that might be in the back of your mind is, well, we have an open roster spot for Naquan Tomlin, and if we need to shake things up from the guard rotation, maybe we do give Killian a 10-day and see how that works.
Yeah, it's not an organization, even as their ambitions have raised and their expectations, they haven't really decided that they're too good for the boring stuff or the unsexy stuff. You see if you follow the Charge on social media, you'll see they're making trades, they're making acquisitions. They've got people, and I feel like that's like a culture on the, that's dictated from the top down of like, hey, we care about this. We want you to we want you to be on the hunt for guys that we can, turn into rotation players. I didn't mention Sam, who's spent time with the Charge, who has turned into it's him or Jalen for the team's best role player this season. I'm just really impressed. I think it's why, even if this tenure, even if this version of the Cavs doesn't turn into a title contender, I'm more confident than I otherwise would be that they can spin the machine back up and make a new iteration of this team. And that's the stuff I was begging for when this team was among the dregs of the league, is like, hey, do I trust in the overall organizational competence of what I'm watching, so that even if, because winning a title is hard, requires luck, requires all sorts of things to go your way, but do I trust that this team and this franchise is going to consistently think and succeed on the margins in a way that will allow them to be in that conversation? It's just more and more proof that they absolutely can.
Yeah, and I think obviously ownership's a big part of that too, right? The flexibility to go out and take on salaries to acquire picks and stuff like that, right? Hey, we've developed some really good role players, not shedding every good role player that gets compensated more just because you've developed these guys. It's all right. Well, we're going to keep our current 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the rotation while we focus on the development, right? We're not shortchanging either part of the process. And what you said about not neglecting that aspect of things, even though they got good, that resonated for me because I hate crediting them, but when I was thinking of player development and really utilizing the G League, I think one of the best examples of that, as the league started to embrace it, was Toronto in the 905, right? Like Pascal Siakam, Fred Van Vliet, they really used it well. And then towards kind of the end of that Nick Nurse tenure there, those development stories went out the window, right? Like they had no depth. They were playing everyone 44 minutes. There was nobody really that they had been developing with the 905, and you saw that they had to kind of refire up that engine and get the player development going. The Cavs don't need to do that because they've been keeping that process going, and I think that that's really important. And I think it's a great point to bring up, but we really do need to spend more time on Jalen Tyson because, as I said, he has been out of his mind, particularly in the stretch since DG has been out. Whether it's the two-man game with Donovan or Evan, the off-ball movement, the composure, it's just really, really, really impressive stuff. And it just feels like another one of those examples of someone that put the work in the off season, and we didn't necessarily see those results immediately, right? Like he's trying to show off all the new tools in his belt. He's trying to figure out exactly where his spot is, but then the game slows down, and then everything starts to make sense for him. And the touch is there, the feel, the passing, the cutting gets better and better. And then once the game is slowed down, now you're seeing him add to his game even more. Like I feel like he is improving on the fly through within the season, and that's really, really meaningful stuff.
Yeah, I mean this two-man game with Donovan and his off-ball activity is better than it ever was last year. From the tape that I watched, was better than it ever was in college. He is finding soft spots in the defense, acting as a release valve, and attacking without a single shred of hesitation. Like that's what we ask for. That's what we want a role player like this to be. And to your point, since Darius went out, he scored 39, 39, 16, 14, 17, 17, 14. Almost all on efficient outings. Between almost always picking up like 7 or 8 rebounds. He's had 4 assists in all 6 of those games. Now the turnovers have been high, so like that's where you're seeing the stretching of himself. Though some of those are just like he's had like 1 dribble off his knee turnover per game.
There's been some bad ones. There has
been
absolutely been some bad ones.
And he knows it. You can see him working through it. But like these are the kind of reps that I want to see, because if this team is fully healthy, all those reads are 10% easier than the ones he's having to make right now.
Yeah.
And the floaters, he'll have an extra step of space more than he has now. The threes should be more open. I mean, he's really not getting a lot of open threes right now.
No,
teams are
he's not hesitating.
Yeah, teams are flying at him. The rebounding, the contested rebounding. By the way, I did want to shout out Tyrese. A couple really nice contested gang rebound possessions in this game. The kind of stuff we ask the smalls on this team to do. But Jalen is just really adding everything, and like, when we were talking about when you were talking about the development of the role players on this team, there's a lot of like taking a D prospect and turning him into a C plus, taking a C plus prospect and turn him into a B minus. Jalen feels like one of the first ones where it's like, guys who get picked in the 20s in the first round do not have a high success rate of even making rotations.
Yeah.
Let alone on teams that have, finals hopes. associated with them. And I feel like this is one of their first times where they've turned maybe like a C graded asset. I'm not saying Jalen was like a C level prospect.
Yeah,
but
I get what you're saying.
But like that's like a C level asset, and it's looking like a B plus, and like that's a huge jump. And like that's what a good development program does, is it's like diamond in the rough, singles, 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 and Jalen looks like a home freaking run right now. Like I'm not taking, like I was hoping that he would be a guy that we could turn to, like that he would show enough this year that we could turn to him if we really needed to change up the vibe or the energy. And like I'm kind of at the point now where like, especially given, his age, where he is on the development curve, I kind of feel like he's the most important option for them on the wing moving forward. Not just for this year, but into the foreseeable future.
I agree with that. And here's why I think that's the case. I still believe that this team will go as far as Evan Mobley will take them, right? Like I think Evan's development is the key X
on
factor.
The wing, to be clear. I said on the wing.
I know. I know, but let me get to you.
Okay.
I think that's the key X factor here. But I think Jalen Tyson's development is taking a little bit of pressure off of Evan Mobley in terms of what this team needs from a front court playmaking standpoint in order for this to work, right? Like if you're looking at what the Cavs need to do to, kind of solidify themselves as contenders and then ultimately go out and compete for an NBA championship this season, obviously getting Evan all the way back to where he was last season and then continuing to build off of that is a very, very important part. But when we've talked about, hey, they need to have an option to take some pressure off of the guards when you're playing against, two very physical, long defensive guards at the point of attack that are blitzing and making life difficult for Donovan and Darius, who's going to be that outlet we can go to? The fact that Jalen Tyson is developing into that type of outlet, that takes some pressure off of Mobley from needing to be that guy. We still do need Evan to be that guy, but maybe it's at a lesser degree than we thought before because you're able to go to Jalen in this spot.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that gives me a lot of confidence right now, like when I'm looking at him filling up the box score in this way, it feels like a higher level version of what we were getting from Max. Right, like obviously Max is a better shooter. The off-ball movement and all that kind of stuff is really, really important. But when we slid Max into the lineup, and all of a sudden, we have this guy that can run a secondary pick and roll, and he's helping things be less sticky here, right? Like just filling in the box score at a higher level than someone like Isaac Okoro or some of the other fill-in starters that we had. That made such a big difference. And if Max can get back to himself, and all of a sudden you have Jalen Tyson who's doing this, and Sam Merrill, who is now, really
a much better gap filler than he was last year.
He's filled in the gaps. All of a sudden, we get away from where we were when we had these playoff struggles, where these guys here are play initiators, these guys here are play finishers, and we have specialists around them that are going to do one skill, one job. Now, all of a sudden, you have a variety of guys that can initiate, that can create, that can take pressure off of the main guys. That, I don't know if they're going to be able to realize it in time. I don't know if they're all going to be healthy at the right time, but it gives you more outs. It gives you more optionality in terms of how you're going to go about attacking teams. It gives you a better fighting chance of this offense finally translating to the postseason in a consistent and meaningful way
against all sorts of defenses, which is
Correct.
The most important thing. The
a little more matchup proof.
Yeah. I really trust Jalen to be able to make these calls in the middle of the floor. I really trust his handle and his finishing ability. And what it also does, by the way, is it allows, I feel like when Max has filled that role, it's nice, but like he's still at his best as a, movement shooter, the decision maker and things like that. And like when he has to, like, and we're talking like very small degrees of difference here, but I feel like there are times when, because of some of the limitations of the Cavs top guys, Max has had to lean 10% too much into getting 2 feet in the paint and being a creator there. Not that it's like a problem necessarily, but it's like a slightly imperfect fit. Jalen kind of feels like that perfect fit for them. And the fact that he's also guarding so much better than he was at the beginning of the season.
He's really making a push towards being, a flat out plus defensively.
Like, I kind of can't believe it. Like, he was averaging in the month of December, he averaged 3 fouls. In the month of November, he averaged 3 fouls. He's cut a foul and 1.2 fouls off of that. He's only at 1.8. And wow. that was going into the night where he only had 1 against Orlando. So he's figuring out how to use his frame, how to go for steals,
He's getting a reputation. How about that, Carter?
Without guarding with his hands, because like I watched those first couple games of preseason, and I was honestly a little concerned. It was like, he was really handsy, and just guys were driving, and he was pushing them, 2 hands on their chest. Like those are like, you're just gonna get called. And the fact
crazy
that he's
handsy in that first game against Brunson too.
Yes, Brunson just killed him, and got the Cavs into the bonus early. You're seeing the development on both ends of the floor where he's getting a little less risky with the decision he makes and just doing what the Cavs have always needed their small forward to do, which is stay in front of your man well enough for the biggest to go clean it up.
Yeah.
I just cannot be more excited about this guy, and I cannot believe he's growing this much. I'm not sure I've seen a guy grow this much at all these things over the course of like within a season in a long, long time.
Yeah, it's really, really important development for the Cavs because, to your point, like in the past, I think I agree with you. I think there was just a little bit too much pressure at times for Max to get 2 feet into the paint, to be that downhill pressure guy. If all of a sudden those 1 guard lineups have a Jalen Tyson out there with a Max Strus, with a Sam Merrill, whether it's Dean or DeAndre at the 4 and one of the bigs, if Jalen's that 2-man game, get downhill, apply rim pressure option, and then you can leverage, okay, well, we're going to make that even more effective because we have the off-ball movement of Max Strus and Sam Merrill here. We're going to have Mobley or Allen in the dunker spot. We're going to be able to space these lineups properly and keep everyone in a role that they are comfortable with. I think that raises the ceiling of what those minutes can be. And, I think at this point, coming back from a Jones fracture, it would be unrealistic to expect Max to be 100% Max this season, right? Like maybe he gets there. I hope he can get there. But that's a tough injury to come back from. That's going to take some time. But even if like what we get from Max is what we got from Darius, like that last couple weeks, but before he aggravated the right toe, where, by his own admission, still probably at 80%, but a much more effective version of himself than we'd seen in the past, like really resembling Darius and bringing the traits that are so valuable to this team. If that's the type of version that we get of Max, that's probably enough when you have this internal push from a Jalen Tyson to really fill in that gap and be, frankly, maybe the 5th best player on the team. Like if he continues on this trajectory and solidifies what he's currently doing, not even adding anything new, but really consistently bringing what he is currently bringing over this stretch, I think he is the 5th best player on this team.
If I may be a little respectfully messy, Justin, I think he might be the 4th best player on the team this season. You could argue he's been as good as Jarrett.
I just think Jarrett has much more impact on the defensive end.
I tend to agree, but the fact that you can even discuss it is pretty amazing. And for every yin there's a yang, so I think there's a representative. If DeAndre was playing the way we had hoped, then maybe that changes things. By the way, and I know we're getting close to time, something else this 4-game win streak does is makes it easier to give these guys time. There's just not pressure to say, Darius, we're kind of in the reevaluation window. How you feeling, brother? Can you get back out there? Like, it just makes it easier to absorb these kinds of, any setbacks or challenges or things taking a little more time to get right. Like even DeAndre, like I think it's probably really good for him that he's getting a couple days to rest, to get his body right, to reset. Because again, like without belaboring the point too much, like he is not the player that he's been this season. That is, even if the biggest DeAndre Hunter skeptic in the world, if they go, see, that's what I said. He's never been a 30% 3-point shooter. Yeah. So like, something that when you're in a prolonged slump like this, as a fan, you can almost forget that there's a chance that he regains his form.
Yeah.
And if he regains his form, then things really change for this team with Jalen's kind of explosion onto the scene. So I just want, that was my last little point, is just like winning these games when you're beat up has such a spillover effect for the overall timelines that your team gets to operate on.
Yeah, I think it's so important that Jalen is taking that pressure off, right? Like that gets back to what I was talking about with Evan being that outlet, right? Like the more guys you have filling roles and doing a variety of different things, it just makes things easier. It gives you more options to go to. And even this stretch, you said it earlier, but I just don't want to get out of here without mentioning just how good Tyrese Proctor looked in these 2 games against Orlando. Like I still think ultimately he's going to need to add more weight. Like he's basically going to need to have like the physical offseason that Jalen had, right? Where getting his body to that NBA level, getting that kind of physical maturity. And I don't want to minimize, like I think you're correct in saying like this type of leap that we're seeing from Jalen Tyson isn't something that's typical, right? Like it's not typical in general. It's not typical to see someone improve like this throughout a season. But I can absolutely see, like, from a composure standpoint, I can see Tyrese Proctor making the type of leap to turn into a rotation player next year, right? Like, if he gets his body right, the things that he does and that archetype as a player is really, really valuable in the same way that what Jalen brought and why we liked him as a prospect is something that this team sorely needed. Tyrese Proctor doing what he does well consistently would give them kind of that backup guard, a big 6'5" guard with active hands that can shoot the hell out of the ball. That's
a classic Rowan Roundup, gang. A classic Rowan Roundup.
Is he not 6'5"?
He's 6'4".
No. I'm not getting bogged down with this right now. He's 6'5" in my heart and in my mind, and probably on Basketball Reference. I'll see. But it's.
I happen to have his NBA stat page pulled up as you said 6'5".
NBA.com is unreliable. We'll get into this another time.
I will say he's up to 35% from 3 on the season after a few nice games, and like that is also incumbent. Is that he's a shooter in practice, not in theory. The old Dylan Windler for these boys. Oh
yeah, when we're talking about projects that didn't work out.
It looked so good a few times. But like that's no joke. That's an important thing for him, because he's taking 9 threes per 36. When he gets it in there, he's getting the shots up and they're starting to go in. And boy, does that really change the math for him as a prospect.
To totally agree. I remain very enamored with him. I feel very, very confident that he is going to turn into a rotation player. I just feel good that what we've seen from this team makes sense to me. Like this is what we were talking about before, right?
What the beginning of the year did not make sense to me.
No, but what I said was, hey, this isn't a team that's demonstrated that they can flip the switch. it's going to take some time. It's going to be a gradual process to turn this tanker around, to get it unstuck from the Suez Canal and turn this thing around. It's going to take a little bit of time. And I think that's what we've seen over these last 15 games, right? Like 11-4 over the last 15. You had the blowout losses to Houston and OKC in there. Really could have won that Detroit game. Like, that was a frustrating loss, a terrible loss to the Jazz, but great 2 games in Philly. Quality wins.
Wins in San Antonio, home win versus Phoenix, a win against Minnesota at home. Like, you're just seeing the
two wins against if you lost these 2 games against Orlando, they're a half game back on you in the standings and tied in the loss column, which we know is the most important one to keep an eye on. Now you have a big gap. You're closer to the 2 seed than you are to the play-in. Like, this is a really, really healthy, taking care of business stretch for the team that I think it can't help but raise your confidence a little bit at this point, right? Like, there's still a ways to go. They're not where we want them to be just yet, but over this type of stretch, this is exactly what I'd kind of be hoping to see.
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, and you can tell we're feeling good about the team because we keep extending the end of the pod. The Cavs schedule the rest of the way, it's lightening up quite a bit. They were like, I want to say they're 25th in remaining strength of schedule. They've also played like 4 more games than every other team in the league. It feels like they're already at 48. A lot of other teams were at like 44, 45 going into this. So you start to see the schedule lightening up. Like in February, they play February 1st, 4th, 7th, 9th, 11th. And then they get the All-Star break. Like, that's a lot of 2-day off stretches, within that early February stretch after a wildly dense January, where I want to say they play 15 or 16 of their games on the season. So, like, the fact that they're surviving this January sprint the way they are, obviously they've got 2 left that can either make this feel really, really good or a little bit worse, depending on how things go. But like they're really chaining stuff together. And by the way, speaking of the February run where they have a nice gap between games, that's also their longest West Coast road trip of the season, where they make up a lot of the road games that they've played a very home heavy schedule so far. But it's so different when you're playing on the West Coast to have 2 days off between Phoenix and Portland, 2 days off between 2 days off between Portland and LA, 2 days off between LA and Sacramento. Like, that kind of stuff just helps you kind of get a breather, get acclimated, get a practice in to keep your kind of habits sharp. So like that's as fortuitous of a road trip as you can get on the schedule.
Totally agree. And we'll be going live after the Lakers game. Excited to see how they match up in that one. Looks like there's a chance Austin Reeves will be back for that game, so that'll be challenging. But hey, maybe we'll have Sam Merrill back, right? Like,
Luka dropped a cool 46 tonight as well. So,
you know why I feel pretty okay, Carter?
Why?
The Cavs are playing playoff basketball.
Yes,
we are back, baby. Let's go. Hopefully we can keep the good times going. As you could tell, we dragged this thing out. I had takes. I'd been sitting, not being able to talk on this mic for a week. I was going to yap. Big thanks to everyone that tuned in live on YouTube. We appreciate you guys. Make sure you like and subscribe and click that notification bell so you know when we're going live. If you're listening via podcast and you want to support us, leave us a rating, leave a review, subscribe, unsubscribe, resubscribe, and help cook those books. If you want to be part of Chase Down's exclusive Discord chat, send a screenshot of their view to chasedownpod@gmail.com. However you choose to support us, we really do appreciate it. Make sure you guys are staying safe out there. Until next time, go Cavs.